This episode of SpectreSoundStudios is brought to you by Manscaped. It's Friday. Do you know where your bass player is? Or better yet, should you even care? All right, everybody, welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, my weekly show where I try and answer your comments and questions about recording to the best of my ability. We're at episode number 241. I think that's absolutely amazing that it's come this far. This was just kind of like my idea. Hey, let's try this out, see if it works. And, you know, you guys have been here week after week asking questions and responding and all the rest of the stuff. And I think that's absolutely fucking tremendous. So thank you so much for being part of this show. I think it's absolutely magnificent. Anyway, enough of the bullshit. Let's get right to it.
Remember when the pod was the best thing ever and it sounded just like real amps?
Well, that was the marketing for that. Anyway, I know a lot of people were enamored by the sound of the pod, and some people had way more success with it than I ever did. But seriously, when I had my dual rectifier sitting there in the year 2000 and I'd have clients bring a pod in, I'm like, really, are you fucking serious? Fortunately, you know, that was 20 years ago, and now we're getting really good with the amp sims. I mean, I just demoed a bunch of stuff for Brainworks, and I gotta say, you know, for like plug-in VSTs that aren't even hardware dependent, damn, they're starting to get pretty good. I think I'm gonna have one coming up on the Soft Tube Carry King in the very near future, if it hasn't aired already. And I've played around with it a little bit, and I'm really impressed with it. Are they getting to be what real amps are? I don't know. That's a really good question. I think it's something I need to revisit. I mean, like 5 years ago, I did Axe Effects versus the real deal. I should probably take a look at some of these modern VSTs and start shooting them out against the real amps and see just how well they hold up. The one thing I will say, though, is yes, they are getting significantly better. And I've definitely had viewers throw me mixes on Merciless Metal mix reviews and that kind of thing. I've been like, wow, what's that guitar sound? Oh, that was a Helix. Oh, that was this, or that was this plugin. It's like, damn, these are starting to get pretty fucking good. But bottom line, yes, the original pod, I fucking hated it. I bought it and I took it back the same day. I absolutely despised it. Now, that's not to say Line 6 doesn't have something up their sleeves. They've got the new Pod Go coming out, which is using Helix technology, and I'm actually really excited about it for a change. I'm thinking, okay, this is great. They're taking some of their higher end tech and putting it into something a little more entry level, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Because if you don't cannibalize yourself, somebody else will.
Guitars 10 years ago, ew, why are you playing that modeling crap? You should really skip paying rent for the next few months and buy a tube amp. Guitars now, ew, why are you bothering with that old tube amp? You should really skip paying rent for the next few months and buy an Axe Effects.
That is right on the fucking money. I can't believe how fucking true that is. The thing is, you know, the Axe Effects sounds great, tube amps sound great, and it's all kind of converging, and it's very interesting to see where it goes. Here's something I enjoy. This is kind of the best of both worlds. This is a Synergy SYN 50 amp and a Steve Vai preamp module. Now, this is kind of like interchangeable preamps on a tube amp. So you get your wide variety of tones, but you get the real thing as well. And gee, when it comes to singing lead tones, wow, does this thing ever got it? And if that video hasn't aired already, it will in the very, very near future. I was really happy with the results I got with this, that's for sure. But I think your initial statement does ring true in the fact that as consumers, you know, we're always tempted to drop money on the newest, latest, and greatest thing. And guitar players are definitely starting to gravitate towards, you know, the sims that can do everything. And once again, I say there's nothing wrong with that. I do have an issue with a amp sim that costs $3,000 that can do a lot of stuff, whereas you can get a plugin that can probably rival it for about 100, less than 100 sometimes, a little more than 100 sometimes. Like I said, it's amazing what you can do with plugins these days.
You can fall in the same upgrade trap with other gear too. Lots of people keep buying guitars, pedals, and amps just to buy more toys.
Well, that's how we're wired, you know? It's always, you know, the new thing that's exciting. When you have the same thing over and over and over again, it does kind of lose its luster. It doesn't matter how awesome it is. That being said, I still haven't got bored with my rev amps. They're just dynamite, and every single time I plug them in and hit record, they're just great. However, you know, I do understand that the new pedal thing, the new amp, the new plug-in, all that kind of stuff, it's all extremely tempting. You really have to pace yourself and plan out carefully, especially if you're on a limited budget. Don't fall into the credit card trap. Hey everybody, this episode of SMG Viewers Comments is brought to you by Manscaped. Now, I know you guys are some of the hardest working musicians out there, and the worst thing after playing an amazing gig is having to walk around bow-legged for the next 3 days because the chafing is so bad. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Fortunately, Manscaped has come up with the mower, a brand new tool to keep your family jewels running at optimum temperature. And with the included safety guard, even bass players can use it without permanently maiming themselves. And thanks to the ball deodorant and toner, you can thrash your ass off on stage and not disgust your bandmates after the gig when you change back into your street clothes. Come to think of it, I really wish a few drummers out there had tried this out before stinking up my studio with their amazing performances. That's the thing, you really don't get the whole picture out on YouTube land. Sure, it looks cool, but some drummers smell so bad after tracking, your average barnyard animal would find it revolting. So all you hardworking musicians, I please ask, get yourself Manscaped and get your hedgerow under control.
Remember the Muse Research Receptor where you could use VSTs in a hardware rack? That thing is more than obsolete because it only supports 32-bit plugins, has almost no processing power compared to today's computers, and will not run all plugins due to internet connection or other activation bullshit for the plugin. By the way, I would love to see your vocal recording chain and settings used for your videos as you're becoming fucking loud and still get a decent looking waveform drawn on your computer. Fuck you from Switzerland.
You know what, you're absolutely right. I think I kind of remember that. It never really took off because probably a lot of us probably won't. Damn, that is really locked down and it won't be very good for very long. Hopefully that's not going to happen with everybody who spent money on Axe Effects and Kempers and all that kind of shit, but hey, time will tell. The great thing is now you can run all those VSTs and crap on a laptop and bring them to a gig. There's some cool tech coming out that I should have a video on very soon, and make sure you watch for that. It's going to be super cool.
Whined like a bitch when you heard Glenn speak. Now your comment is the butthurt of the week.
I will never ever watch one of your videos again. I can't tell if there's a real bone in your body.
Well, I don't know what the hell I did to piss you off so much. Oh well, fucking get over it. That would be my suggestion. I guess it's really hard to tell if I'm being honest, especially when I went out and bought a Cab Clone IR to do a real review on it and didn't get the results everybody wanted. It sounded better, but it had a noise problem that was certainly brought to light by recording in this place. That's for sure, when the competing 2-Notes unit did not have said noise issue. This was on the outraged Axe Effects fan special that I did a few weeks back, so maybe you were pissed off with my opinion because I didn't validate your purchase or agree with you. And you know what? That's fine. We are allowed to disagree with one another. That's fine. That's how a great dialogue happens, and that's how we usually wind up learning from each other. I make no apologies for life not being a bed of roses, and I make no apologies for not meeting your expectations. But I will make this very clear. When I'm doing a paid video, I will put it in the description. This video sponsored by such and such. That's how it goes. I'm sorry if you weren't able to figure that out or were too lazy to click on something to see where that was laid out for you. The question that needs to be asked, though, are other YouTubers doing the same?
Finally, an honest review from anyone who has a good-sized YouTube channel. And it's not the first one for you. All other gear shills take note. The guitar community literally thirsts for honest reviews. I do them on my tiny channel, but I don't have to give a fuck because I have a great income outside of YouTube and don't get free shit to shill. Thanks, Glenn.
Well, I started out with the tiny channel too, and I started out doing, reviews like that all the time. Thank you, though. I mean, I'm sure Sennheiser wasn't a huge fan of that video, but if you guys haven't seen that video, it's where I check out the Sennheiser wireless transmitter and lavalier system. The mic is fantastic. I've got some issues with the wireless system though, and interference, that kind of thing. Outdoors, it's kind of a nightmare to work with, to be honest with you. But I have been using it indoors, and I used it on the Mellow Audio TS Mega revisit video I did there a couple weeks ago. And you know what? I will give credit where credit's due. It's vastly improved indoors. But if you're thinking on getting the Sennheiser wireless system, the less expensive one, buyer beware, because there are some issues with it if you're gonna shoot outdoors. Just be careful and hang on to your receipt.
The butthurt of the week jingle is absolutely genius idea, but needs to be a bit longer. I'm just saying, I know a guy. Yes, 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 we need more Halfords, Dios, and Dickinsons, and fewer Cookie Monsters. We get it. Cookie, you're a satanic badass. Now learn how to sing. Nothing wrong with growling. I do it all the time, but my growling inspiration is Gene Simmons, not a confection-obsessed Muppet. Pink Floyd at Pompeii is fucking classic. I've got a funny, youthful, dope-smoking story pertaining to that film, but then who doesn't?
Lot to digest in that comment there. Everybody, that's Adam Fox, big fan of the show. I got to meet him at AES in New York last fall. It was really cool to meet the dude. Anyway, just to go down your list there. Butthurt of the Week, we already used a longer song this week. That was fun. Thank you so much for the contribution. That came from one of the guys who hangs out on Discord. We're having an awful lot of fun in there. If you want to check it out, come hang out. Learn some stuff about recording, all that kind of stuff. Please join. Links in the description below. And everybody is invited and welcome. Just don't be a dick. More Halfords and Dios, yes, please. Waiting on the next great metal singer to come along. I think I might have found him. Siegfried's song. You guys have probably seen him in that Moon on the Water video. Hopefully I'm going to get to do some more stuff with Siegfried in the very near future. There's also a guy from East Coast Canada called Gorian Roth. What a set of pipes on that guy. We need more great vocalists. No question about it. And lastly, Pink Floyd live at Pompeii. If you guys haven't watched it, please go check it out. Go put on echoes and prepare to have your hair blown back. It is fucking amazing. No drum samples, no auto-tune, just talent. That's how it should be.
Hey Glenn, do you think you could show us musicians who don't know the difference in the sound between recording metal on digital and on tape, analog? Given you have the resources and means, I think it would be a really cool experiment to try out. I personally would like to hear the song differences between the two. Hope you hear your reply. Oh, and fuck you, sir.
Hey Brandon, that sounds like a video I might want to try doing in the summer where we take a band in to record on analog tape. My friend Walter Riggy down the street, he's got a studio and he's still got his tape deck hooked up. Might be cool to check it out. The big difference between analog and digital recording is there is no undo button. You have to get it right. And that is what separates the heavy metal bands from the EDM with distorted guitars bands. There is a talent barrier. When you show up to the studio, especially an analog studio, you better bring your fucking A game because tape don't lie.
Hey Glenn, you mentioned in this video to make sure your guitars are intonated to the tuning you'll be using in the studio. What about if you're using multiple tubings and don't have enough guitars to accommodate?
I don't know, maybe try fucking playing less complex things? Just a thought! Seriously though, if you're gonna be using multiple tunings, you'd better be good at doing intonation jobs in the studio because if you're getting charged by the hour, that shit's gonna cost you a lot of money real quick. Ask yourself, what's more important, the multiple tunings or how much money you have in your pocketbook? Can't have both.
Gibson is a pretentious waste of money. You can get two better guitars for the same price as a $3,000 Gibson.
No argument here.
Firefaces do not sound very good. You should upgrade that.
What fucking crack have you been smoking? A Fireface doesn't sound good. Are we talking about the same RME fireplace? Are you fucking joking? The Fireface is one of the best interfaces on the market, bar none, no question. I don't think anybody would debate that with me. Where the fuck did you get that from? And they've got unbeatable drivers for the PC. If you're serious about getting your hands on an absolutely incredible interface, I highly, highly, highly recommend checking out the RME stuff. And I hope to have the Babyface Pro on the show real soon.
Glenn, here's a quick question for you. I've been having this huge battle with our mixing engineer about using this type of recording technology, so to speak. He says that no one would mix guitars with IRs, while I really can't hear that much of a difference if you know two notes IRs or record in the studio. What's your professional opinion?
I've got absolutely no problem with IRs whatsoever. Sometimes I've used IRs when I couldn't get the sound I was looking for, and you know what? They're absolutely great. I love recording hybrid systems where we use an analog tube amp and impulse responses on the back end, and I find that's a really great compromise. If your engineer is saying nobody uses IRs in the studio, maybe he should try spending some time on planet Earth.
Being new to hardware, is this better than, say, an API 2500 Waves VST compressor? Just trying to understand hardware and really want my first piece of hardware. To me, hardware sounds better.
You want to know if the API 2500 on software sounds better than the FMR really nice compressor. They're two different beasts. You know, the FMR is kind of a one-trick pony, but it does it really fucking well. It's very transparent, whereas that 2500 is supposed to be a little bit more nasty. If you're looking for your absolute first compressor, I'd recommend the Art Pro VLA. It's a 2-channel compressor, works as dual mono or a stereo. I've seen them in studios all over the place, like from low-level studios all the way up to top-level studios here in LA on Sunset Boulevard. I mean, like, I've walked in one, really? You've got that here? Oh yeah, it's fucking great. So I bought one and tried it out. Turns out it is pretty great. They're about $300 Canadian or something like that. You can get them pretty cheap and definitely worth the cash. And they're definitely a cool alternative to plugins. I'd recommend that probably over the FMR. The FMR is great for, like, you know, clean compression, that kind of thing. And it's great on vocals, especially because it's got a cascading type of compression, which is really gentle. So if you're doing a lot of singing, that'd be great. If you want something maybe a little bit more versatile, check out the Art. Either way, you can't go wrong with either one. And they're definitely going to be something cool compared to your plugins.
Why not cheese and or dairy for the vocalist?
Hey, Hans. Okay, I'm going to defer this one to the expert, and that is my cousin, Carolyn Sinclair, who is a opera soprano. She's a full-time singer. That's what she does for a living, and she's absolutely fucking magnificent at what she does. Now, her routine would be no cheese, no dairy for an entire week before a gig, just because she says it will coat your throat, it's going to interfere with your vocal cords' ability to stretch and form those notes to perfection. And again, we're talking opera level vocalist here. So, take this advice with a grain of salt when it comes to rock and metal. But if you've got somebody who's singing, wants to sing their ass off, and absolutely wants to be at the best they possibly can be in the studio, please, no cheese, no milk, no dairy whatsoever before you go in the studio. Let those vocal cords do their job, and don't put anything and don't coat anything on them that's going to interfere with them doing their job. And once again, thanks to my cousin Carolyn for the wonderful advice.
I'm totally pissed off with the whiny assholes in so-called metal these days. It's fucking embarrassing. Everyone is starting to sound the same by using the same plugins and so on, and trying to make songs perfect. I've listened to metal for 30 fucking years, and back in the day it was very easy to find something new to listen to. It was pretty fucking exciting when I found a new band to obsess over for a few months and get inspired. But not anymore. Everyone sounds exactly the same. Whatever happened to the cool intro riffs? The riff that blew your cotton socks off and hooked you in and made you want to listen to the whole song. Everything has become stale. About 6 months ago, I tried to record my own music for the first time ever, and I certainly don't know what I'm doing, but I certainly don't give a fuck. And I've got nothing against plugins. Some of them sound awesome. I use more GE200 and a Scarlett 2i2 to record my songs, and you know what? I listen to it after and it chills me, and it helps me fall asleep at night. It's far from perfect. Metal should not be perfect.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with any of that stuff. You know what? If that's what inspires you, great. You've got a point about things becoming a bit stale. I remember late 80s, early 90s, all these bands were coming out, and yeah, I definitely get into the same thing, be like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Oh, wow, this is really cool. A lot of what we're hearing today seems to be a rehashing of ideas, and everybody's kind of using the same plugins, same drum samples, all that kind of stuff, and nobody's really branching out and trying something new. Steve Vai said to me in that interview I did with him about, always changing up the tones and trying new things. Bob Marlette was very much the same way. Guitar players wanted to find their own thing. Now, Trey Xavier posted something interesting on Facebook the other day, and he said, name the most memorable 7-string riffs. And Frederick Nordstrom jumped in and said, none. That made me think for a while. He might have a point. And why is that? It's because when we downtune, things aren't as exciting to us anymore. Maybe the reason we're not hearing hugely inspiring guitar riffs anymore is because we're in too low of a register for it to connect with human psyche, not in the same way, shit did in the thrash generation. I can think of a million fucking Metallica and Megadeth riffs that were tuned standard that just fucking jump out at you and you can fucking instantly recall. I can't really do that with many downtuned riffs, if any. Maybe the heavy riff on Steve Vai's Fire Garden. That's about it. But when it comes to modern shit, really, I don't know. Maybe Fear Factory? Replica, that thing. Yeah, okay, that works. But Warren Hewitt, here we go with the whole fucking name dropping thing. But I had a really good conversation with Warren about this. And he was saying when you're doing a cover song, tune up a little bit more and speed up the song. I'm thinking the whole tuning thing might really have something to do with it. So I need to investigate this in a video. Low tuning versus high tuning. What's heavier versus what actually fucking resonates and is memorable? That is the fucking ultimate question I think we need to be asking ourselves, is that maybe metal's become so stale over the last few years is because nobody is playing standard anymore. Or at least a drop D standard, something like that. It's always, CGCFAD, which I've been playing since the mid-90s, and I'm definitely guilty of that. Or even lower, B strings, that kind of stuff, drop A's, that kind of thing. Sure, it sounds cool, but does it make better songs? That's the question.
Hey Glenn, would it be possible to learn to mix when I'm hard of hearing?
Hey JCat, thanks so much for asking that. I'm not going to say no. It really depends on your determination. If you go for it, man, hey, my hat's off to you. Massive respect for that. Just remember this, that Beethoven was hard of hearing too. Good luck, dude. I wish you the absolute best of luck in the pursuit of what you want to do with life. Don't let anything hold you back, dude.
I was always under the impression that gatekeeping is when a music scene becomes monopolized by a group of musicians, promoters, engineers, and club owners. A situation wherein bands, no matter how good they are or how hard they work, can get a break in their local scene because of gatekeepers that hog all the good opening slots for touring bands that actually get decent turnouts. In that case, that's something that not only worth whining about, it's something that needs to be stomped out ASAP.
That's a wonderful assessment of the term gatekeeping. Lately, people have been throwing the term gatekeeping at this show because I say things that they might not want to hear. And, I'm not stopping anyone from posting on YouTube. I'm not stopping anyone from doing a mix or recording or anything like that. I've got my own philosophy about what makes great metal songs, and I'm trying to share that with people. That's not gatekeeping. That's telling you, hey, stop relying on computers for all that shit and try working harder at what you do and put your playing into the record and stop fucking with it. That is trying to help.
Why are so many guys such giant pussies? I literally subscribed to this channel because of the yelling and stupid musician texts.
And Stupid Musician Text will be returning in a few weeks. I've been sitting on an episode for a while, and I really need to push it out the door. As per your initial question, a good friend of mine said it years ago, and I love this quote because it really sums everything up. If I want to hear a guy sing about his feelings, I'll put on a Simon and Garfunkel record.